Hey guys, Chris Jordan here, and today our focus is on fielding. In today's game, every ball is an event, whether you're fielding in the ring, on the boundary, in the slips. And today I'm going to take you through a few drills which will hopefully have you ready for that next big moment. Right guys, so my first tip is around anticipation and being ready for the ball to come to you when fielding in the ring. Now, that can be done in a couple of different ways. Now, you can watch the batter and watch the shape of the shot that he's about to take. So if he's going to take an attacking shot, then you probably want to sit in a more defensive position. Whereas if he's going to play a defensive shot, then you actually want to be in a more attacking position and advance towards the ball. Right, so for a batsman to play an aggressive shot, he has to pick his bat up more often than not above his shoulder. So if you see that motion, you actually want to get in a more defensive position, almost like a goalkeeper, where you're about to stop a shot, because when fielding in the ring, the ball will come quite quickly. When you start to see him take that shape of that shot, you just head towards him, because the ball shouldn't pass you and you'll have enough time to adjust your position if it's left or right. My second tip is about head position and body position when receiving the ball. It's very, very important to get in a solid position just from the mere fact that if your head's in a good position, you'll just naturally make better decisions. You'll be able to collect the ball as cleanly as possible and either affect run-outs or stop runs. As the ball comes to you, you want to make sure you have a nice solid base, probably shoulder width apart, a pretty chest-on stance, heads over the ball, hands out in front of you. Because in that position, your eyes are nice and level, your hands are out in front of you, and you have a good chance of effecting a clean pickup. Now on the flip side, if you end up attacking the ball from a side-on position, now the ball has a chance to, as it comes to you, either deviate, hit your foot, deviate, and miss your hands altogether. And actually, you're only using one eye then. That's why it's very important to get in this wide stance, head over the ball, hands out in front of you, and then from there you can adjust your feet accordingly, whether you need to shy at the bowler's end or shy at the batsman's end. So my third tip is about getting in a good position to throw. Now that could either be an underarm throw or an overarm throw, but there's always a decision to be made. Remember earlier we spoke about anticipation? If the batsman is going to play an attacking shot, then you actually sat back a little bit more. That's when you actually probably find yourself in a position to do an overarm throw. If the batsman is going to play a more defensive shot, which means that you might end up a lot closer to the wickets, that's probably a situation where you'll have to do a more underarm throw. So I'm just demonstrate both of them now to you. I'll demonstrate underarm throw first and then move to overarm throw. Yeah, so firstly, I advanced towards the wicket as much as possible, even though he hadn't played the ball yet. That's where the anticipation comes in. Now, but because I'm in a running motion, I'm receiving the ball probably just outside of my right toe because I'm picking it up with my right hand. From there, I'm not coming right back up to underarm the ball. I'm keeping my weight forward as much as possible, keeping my knees bent. With the weight and momentum going forward, you don't have to actually put some extra power on the ball. All you need to do is open your hand and release it in the direction of the stumps, and it should go in that direction with enough pace to affect that run out. As the ball comes to me, as you can see, my head is right over the ball like we spoke about earlier. From there, I'm just gonna go from a front-on position to a side-on position by rotating my hips and then make a decision of whether I want to shot at the keeper's end or shot at the bowler's end. Right guys, so my first tip for fielding on the boundary is anticipation. Similarly to fielding in the ring, anticipation is very, very important whilst fielding on the boundary, and the same principles apply. So the main thing to look out for whilst anticipating is to check the shape of the shot from the batter. If they're playing an attacking shot, you want to be sat a lot more defensive on the boundary to stop your fours and your sixes. If they're playing a more defensive shot, you want to be advancing towards the inner circle to either cut down your ones and your twos, and you can start to affect the game in that manner. My second tip for fielding on the boundary is spatial awareness. you want to be asking yourself little questions like, is it a big ground? Is it a small ground? Is it a bumpy outfield? Is it a flat outfield? Am I fielding against a big hitter or not so big a hitter? All these questions you want to provoke when thinking about your spatial awareness. Alright, so my third tip for fielding on the boundary is to remember that you're fielding as a team. Whether you're chasing out a ball in pairs or backing up a teammate's throw, it's the one opportunity that you can all come together as one unit and really put on a show. Alright, my first tip for catching on the boundary is hand and body position. Right, when fielding on the boundary, it's very important to have good hand and body position. Now, to get to that stage, you'll need to judge the trajectory of the ball and get under the dropping zone of the ball as quickly as possible. Once under the dropping zone, you then get your hands and your body in as solid a position as possible so you have a nice stable base. So as the ball is coming down, you want to be taking the ball as close to eye level as possible so that if that ball does pop out or does drop, you do have another chance at it. So it's important to have a stable base so that you can take the catch as effectively and as cleanly as possible. Now, whilst taking that catch, as the ball's coming in, you want to get your two fingers interlocked, and if you realize over a period of time when you make a lot of catches, it actually ends up going into one hand. So whichever hand is that dominant hand, you probably cross that little finger over the other one and it'll end up going into that solidly and cleanly more often than not. Depending on the trajectory of the ball, obviously if it's a flatter trajectory, you want to be taking it with your hand, with your fingers pointing forward. If it's probably a more higher trajectory and the ball may be even falling over the rope, you want to be taking it with your fingers pointing up. Have a nice solid base and collect the ball from there. Right, my second tip is having good rope awareness. It's definitely scenario dependent, but let's say for instance, I'm starting on the rope. If the batter hits the ball, it goes straight up. For me, I take a quick look at the rope so that when the ball does arrive in my space, I'm as calm as possible because the only pressure that I have is rope pressure. So as soon as the ball goes up, I take a quick look. That way I know exactly where my body is, I know exactly where the ball's going to land as well, and I can affect the catch in an effective manner. Alright, another example is if you're fielding on a slightly bigger field. If you're fielding on a slightly bigger field, that means that you'll have to be off the boundary rope a little bit more. In that instance, you'll probably, a good way of knowing exactly where the rope is maybe taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps, so that when that ball does end up coming over your head and you end up running back those same 5 steps, you know exactly where the rope is, you can stay nice and calm and you can affect the catch. Alright, my third tip is catch, 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 and use the principles from tip 1 and tip 2 to practice as much as you can. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Hopefully you've learned something from today's session and you can go and put all of it into practice, and when you make that run out or take that catch on a Saturday, it's all worth it.